Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, April 12th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Ali VC, LA Sanitation. Good morning.
Reza Shahmirzadi, Engineering.
John Ollinger, Contract Administration.
Good morning. Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning. Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, no commentary under the Neighborhood Council commentary section, and no speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
Then we'll close general public comment as well as our, sounds like we just got an echo, as well as our Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, March 24th, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 1, opening bids on 2 public works projects. Mr. Campos, agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Today we will open up 2 bids. The first bid is for the North Central Animal Services Center, Phase 2. This is a rebid, work order number E1700449F. This is in Council District number 1, and the city has estimated this project to be at $11,204,406. The second project that we will open up bids for is for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, SSRP, at Riverside Drive in Doris Place. The city has estimated this project to be at $4,292,637 even. This is in Council District 1, 13, and 14. We will proceed with opening up the bids for project number 1. Again, this is for the North Central Animal Services Center, Phase 2. We have 2 bids. The first bid is from Ford EC Incorporated for a total bid amount of $18,875,000 even. That's $1,875,000 from Ford EC Incorporated. For the record, line item number 10 has been whited out but initialed by the contractor. The second and final bid for the first project is from S.J. Amoroso Construction Company, Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $21,997,000 even. That's $21,997,000 from S.J. Amoroso Construction Company, Incorporated. For the record, line item number 5 has been lined out and initialed by the contractor. President James, that concludes the bid openings for the first project. We will now continue to open up bids for the second project. Again, it's for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program at Riverside Drive in Doris Place in Council District 1, 13, and 14. The first bid for the second project is from Mike Perlich & Sons, Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $4,954,414 even. Again, this is from Mike Perlich & Sons, Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $4,954,414. For the record, line item number 42 has been lined out and initialed by the contractor. The second bid is from Ramona Incorporated for a total bid amount of $5,090,789.50. That is $5,090,789.50 from Ramona Incorporated. The third bid received for the second project is from Vasilch Incorporated for a total amount of $4,462,360 even. That's 4462360 from Vasilch Incorporated. The fourth bid received for the second project is from Kolich and Sons LP for a total bid amount of $5,643,033 even. That's 5643033 from Kolich and Sons LP. The fifth and final bid received for the second project is from MNR Construction Incorporated for a total bid amount of $5,774,025 even. That's 5774025 from MNR Construction Incorporated. For the record, line item number 2428 has been lined out by the contractor, and both lines have been initialed. President James, that concludes the bid openings for today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. Is there a second to my motion that the bids be received, opened, and now declared by Commissioner Rivas? Any objection? Without objection, will the agenda item number 1 will be approved. Any issues sending it forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Agenda item numbers 2 through 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are assessment hearings for council districts 11, 13, and 14 in various locations. Mr. Flamenco, are you here? There you are. Go ahead, sir.
Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 2 and 5 pertain to lighting districts which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Items 3 and 4 pertain to lighting districts which we are creating in conjunction with Bureau of Street Lighting initiated community development block grant projects in the Elysian Valley community. Ballots for items 2 to 5 were mailed on March 2nd, 2017. Ballots for items 2 to 5 must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, April 19th. We have not received any objections to date on items 2 to 5. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 2 to 5 forthwith to City Council.
Any questions regarding 2 through 5? Any questions regarding 2 through 5? I don't have any questions regarding 2 through 5. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda items 2 through 5 for the Bureau of Street Lighting. Excuse me, second by Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda items 2 through 5. Any issues sending them forthwith? We'll send 2 through 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 6, Council District 6, Bureau of Engineering, budget contingency increase and change order number 13 to Kiewit Infrastructure West for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant screw pumps installation and upgrades project, recommending that the board first authorize $414,870 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $6,566,820 for the project. And secondly, authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 13 for the project to remove the existing shotcrete and rebar in 4 screw pump troughs. Mr. Zahedi.
Good morning, Sean Zahedi, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. The Tillman Water Reclamation Plant handles up to 80 million gallons per day of wastewater, and it was built in 2 phases. The wastewater, after entering the plant, goes through the preliminary treatment and then is lifted up by means of 8 Archimedes screw pumps that raise the wastewater to a height of about 30 feet, allowing it to flow by gravity down to the downstream processes. These screw pumps are an integral part of the treatment. Without them, the plant will essentially shut down. We have a project in construction that is replacing these screw pumps. The first 4 screw pumps have been installed. These are phase one pumps. And then once we got to the replacement of the second four, the field conditions were different from what was indicated on our record drawings, in that there was an extra layer of concrete and rebar that needed to be removed, demolished, before we could place the new screw pumps in place. This work is added work and required the prime contractor to hire a demolition subcontractor to do this work. So that necessitated the issuance of change order number 13 for this added work. We had an initial contingency amount of $292,950 for this project, which was 5% of the contract value. Up until now, we have fully executed 10 change orders in the amount of $147,818. We have 2 preliminary change orders for $169,000, and the change order per this staff report, number 13, which is for the demolition of the concrete, is $315,000. So in order to be able to execute the pending change orders and also issue and execute change order number 13, we are requesting an additional contingency in the amount of $414,870. We believe that this amount will be sufficient to close out the project. And our, with the approval, with the authorization of this additional contingency, our change order percentage will be at 10.78% for this contract. That concludes my report.
Any questions on agenda item number, Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James Sean. Thank you for the report. So the contract documents versus actual field conditions, there's a difference
Correct.
that necessitated, that required the change order, and because there's additional scope of work. Can you talk a little bit, just a little bit more? Because the expectation that the actual as-built and what's in the ground would match.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about that, sir?
Yes, absolutely. These screw pumps are housed in troughs. They turn inside the troughs, and the trough is lined with a layer of concrete. Our record drawings showed that showed the concrete on in the trough. However, it failed to show first the thickness of the concrete, and secondly the fact that it's a monolithic piece of concrete as opposed to grout that's cold jointed. Additionally, it did not show the amount of rebar that is below the concrete on the trough. So once the screw pumps, the old ones, were taken out, the contractor informed us of this change situation.
Did we have that same situation on phase one on the first 4 screw pumps?
No, actually, the phase one pumps were installed at a different time, and even though phase one and phase two for the entire plant are mirror images of one another, the construction of phase one pumps were different in terms of the layer of concrete and rebar than phase two.
So there's a little bit of difference, a little delta
Yes.
between the documents and the field conditions, and we're going to solve it with this change order, and we don't think we're going to have any other change orders on it.
They're actually prepared to put the screw pumps in this month by the 18th. And once they put them in and align them, the contract is essentially over.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Mr. Zahedi, just to dovetail a little bit on Commissioner Jacinto's line of questioning, it's fair to say that we're much better with our record keeping now on the projects that we're doing, such that, typically when you put down an amount of concrete and rebar, old records would have ostensibly been accurate. Maybe they weren't here. But going forward, for people that deal with these projects in the future, because of technology and all kinds of other issues, we're much more succinct and precise with the kind of records that we're providing for them that come after us, correct?
That's correct. The keeping of as-builts and keeping them accurate and up to date is a major challenge.
Yes.
Given the number of contracts that Public Works or any public entity is handling. So yeah, we are focusing to improve the record-keeping process to make sure that the as-builts indeed do reflect the accurate conditions in the field. So this is an ongoing process, an ongoing challenge.
The difference between a computer hard drive or and a file cabinet.
That's true.
All right. Any other questions on agenda item number 6? Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Zahedi.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, Council District 11. Task order solicitation number 41. Budget increase, Arcadis U.S. Incorporated for the Venice Auxiliary Pumping Plant Project. Authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task for solicitation number 41 to Arcadis U.S. Incorporated, increasing the budget authority from $1.2 million to $1.6 million. That's obviously a $400,000 increase for pre-design, design, and design support services during construction. And I've got several names here. So Mr. Pusti, Mr. Danashanar, and Mr. Chaudhry. Whoever you would prefer to, Mr. Chaudhry, go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Abhay Chaudhry from Bureau of Engineering. Venice Pump Station is one of the city's largest wastewater pump station. Its capacity, that was built about 1950s. Its capacity has been tested over last 20 years, especially in the last rains. Existing facility has 5 pump stations, 5 pumps, and all those pumps are working usually 24/7, and during the time when we need all of them, there's no guarantee that we will have all 5 on duty. To address that, the capacity issues and also to rebuild the redundancies, city proposed building Venice Auxiliary Pumping Plant, basically additioning 3 more pumps right across the street, which will be connected to the common discharge manifold. So essentially, the 2 facilities will work as a 1 pump station. Back on January 21st, 2015, board awarded a contract to the Arcadis for the design support services, an amount of $1.2 million, which included a contingency of about $300,000. When project was awarded, they were supposed to build a pump station, 3 underground pumps, which will be connected and operated through existing pump station control room. When the contract was awarded, it was done when we realized that we don't have enough room to run the cables and control the new facility from the existing pump station, so we added the scope, adding a control room, providing a new power feed to DWP to existing facilities, and also basically, and we did do we wanted to model that inlet chambers to avoid new pumps to cavitate, which is basically the major source of destruction to the pumps. So we burned that contingency at that time. Going through the permitting process and dealing with the city planning and stuff, we realized that we don't meet the parking requirement, and there were some couple of other issues involved. There was another task was issued, and a proposal was submitted by the Arcadis, an amount of $238,000, which will basically address the development of 128 Hurricane Lot, which city is in a process of acquiring to address the needed requirement, meeting the requirement for construction of WAP. And also we are upgrading the program logic consent controller, which was not originally part of this project, and some other miscellaneous items. So I'm here to request increase in budget authority to Task Order 41, solicitation to Arcadis, an amount of $400,000. About $161,000 will remain as a contingency in case.
Thank you, Mr. Chaudhry. Is the contingency, for some reason it seems high to me. I'm missing something. What am I missing?
The new contingency?
So is it, yes, the new contingency.
We still haven't completed the permitting process through the different various city permitting agencies, including State Coastal Commission. So if there's any requirements which we need to alter the design and accommodate that, which has not been addressed part of the contract, we want to make sure we have enough funds so we don't have to come back to you.
So it was bumped up a little bit for that?
Yes.
Okay. So it wasn't my imagination.
So 1.2 has been already burned, which was
Right.
only $100 or so was left. So the amendment will address the needed development of 128 Hurricane Lot, as well as including that program logic controllers, which was not part of it. So $238,000 is only for that work, which needs to be done in order to complete the 100% design.
It just looked like, having gone through the contingency already, the new contingency looked high to me. So I was just wondering why. So
Initially, we did not anticipate we will be requiring acquisition of a lot and development of the lot. We did not know that we will be needing a new power draw by DWP, as well as will have a new control room, and we will have a due construction constraint because of the construction of new manifold header, which was completed last year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Is there a motion on agenda item number 7? Commissioner Ascento? I'll second it. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8, Bureau of Street Lighting and the Bureau of Contract Administration in Council District 11. Requested contract award, West Los Angeles Playa del Rey Series to multiple high voltage conversion for fiscal year 2016-17. Recommending that the board first declare Servitec Solutions the apparent second low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder after the local business preference percentage is applied, and award Servitec a contract for the project for $2,350,651.14. Secondly, forward a copy of the report to Council District 11. And third, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract for the project upon approval of all required documents by the city attorney. Mr. Nguyen on number 8. There you are.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. I'm Vince Nguyen with the Bureau of Street Lighting. This project will convert existing high voltage series street lighting circuits to low voltage multiple circuits. We have received a total of 5 bids for this project. Alec Noah is the apparent first low bidder, and Servitec is the second apparent low bidder. However, Bureau of Contract Administration has verified that Alec Noah is not a certified local business enterprise, and Servitec is a certified local business enterprise. So as a result, Servitec becomes the first low bidder after the local business preference percentage is applied. So in view of the above findings, it's recommended that the board declare Servitec the lowest responsible for this project and award a contract to Servitec for this project.
Other than the local business, the application of the local business preference here, and recognizing that Servitec also, just notably, follows into a number of categories that we'd like to mention here that are set forth in the board report. Other than the local business preference, there are no other responsiveness issues on this contract, correct? Right. Okay. I do notice that in the next agenda item, Elecnor is going to be awarded a contract
Right, for the,
if we follow the recommendation of the Bureau on agenda item number 9. But on agenda item number 8, Elecnor is going to fall second to Servitec based on the local business preference according to the recommendation from the Bureau. Commissioner Davis.
I wanted to ask in terms of the board motion that's in our packets and the sub-consultant breakdown, is this for, which company is this for? Which prime contract is this breakdown for that we have of sub-consultants? It starts with
What page you
KDG.
looking at?
I hope I'm on the right one. This is item 8, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the page 4. Page 4, it's only one sheet that indicates
No,
that. Is that right?
No, you're looking at Arcadis. We're done with Arcadis.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Number 8.
Okay. Could you discuss with me the breakdown of sub-consultants? And I would suspect that this is the breakdown for the one that we're recommending, Servitec. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. And I wanted to just get an overview from your perspective. It looks very diverse in terms of what they are recommending in terms of subcontractors here.
Are you looking at page 4?
Yeah, page,
No,
is that right?
No, you're wrong page. Come to number 8.
Wow,
This is it.
okay. Okay, my question is still the same. It looks like my pages here are mixed up, but I wanted to just talk about the subcontracting of the firm that we're talking about, hear from your perspective. And I guess this is a locally funded project, is that correct?
Well, it's funded by MICLA.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So it has no federal funds, right?
No, there's no federal fund.
Right. And so here, my understanding is there is 20% emerging businesses and 20% small businesses. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto?
Quickly, yeah, Vince, Elecnor is not an LBE. They haven't applied, or they are just totally not located in LA County, sir?
Linda?
Ms. McGlinchey.
Oh, good.
I knew she was here. I saw her over there in her reserved seat.
Good morning, Linda McGlinchey, Bureau of Contract Administration. No, Elecnor has not submitted a LBE application. Had they done it, we would have taken a look.
Yeah, but they've done business with us before, so the issue is that they're just not pursuing that. They're not.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you
don't
other
suppose
than,
anything. Understood.
than simply they have not submitted.
It's up to them. Yeah. Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? I'll make a motion on number 8 that we adopt agenda item number 8 as recommended by the Bureau. Seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issues sending 8 forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Agenda item number 9, also requested contract award in Council District 5, street lighting, again with contract administration. West Side Unit 2 series to multiple high voltage conversion for fiscal year 16-17. Recommending that the board declare Hinkles and McCoy Incorporated the first low bidder to be non-responsive as discussed in the report. Secondly, declare Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated, the entity we were talking about a moment ago that did not get awarded the contract, the second low bidder here, to be the lowest responsive responsible bidder on this project and award Elecnor a contract for the project for $2,279,074 forward a copy of the report to Council District 5, and authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract for the project upon approval of all the required documents by the city attorney. Mr. Nguyen, again on number 9.
Good morning. Well, this project will convert existing high-voltage series street lighting circuits to low-voltage multiple circuits. We have received a total of 4 bids on this project. Henkels and McCoy is the first low bidder. However, they failed to pass the business inclusion program outreach requirements. Therefore, it's recommended that the bid be deemed non-responsive. Alec Noah is the second low bidder who has complied with the outreach requirement. So it's recommended that the board declare Alec Noah the lowest responsible bidder and award Alec Noah a contract for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Ms. McGlinchey, can I ask you a question on this one? So, recognizing, and I'm looking at the subcontracting participation here, Ellicknor looks like they've got the same WBE. I didn't look at the company, I'm just looking at the numbers. Thereabouts, may or may not be, but about the same number they had on the last contract. But last contracts are relevant here. But looking at Henkels and McCoy, their participation numbers are pretty good when you look at MBE, WBE. What's the problem? They're non-responsive because they did not use BAVN according to the report.
Correct. In spite of their president having attended the pre-bid meeting where the business inclusion program requirements were discussed, the important notice on the bid proposal documents, which is like the first couple of pages, clearly stating that BAVN must be utilized. Our part 3, which discuss how to use BAVN, they did not do anything on BAVN. If you look at the transmittal, it appears that they did it somewhat old school, and their outreach, what they documented a week after bids came in, appears to be really just to MBEs and WBEs. This is almost consistent with probably when they last bid with us, which was probably about a decade ago. They used to bid with us all the time on street lighting projects. So it appears that the information was not passed on to the appropriate parties within the business to meet the requirements.
So what does that mean for you at the Bureau of Contract Administration as you're trying to confirm the data that's being sent? What's the importance of the requirement to use our BAVN system?
Well, for one thing, BAVN makes it much easier. It states how many notifications must be sent. It shows who the notifications are being sent to, whether they're minority, women, other, the SBEs, EBEs, DVBEs, all of which we require them to outreach to on each NAICS code, so long as there are parties that they can outreach to that are registered on BAVN. And BAVN is supposed to be the place for contracting opportunities within the city.
So if they don't use it, that means
they're excluding all the potentially interested companies in participating on city contracts. We don't know how they came up with the people that they listed.
Okay. And then their submission, you said, was sent in a week later?
Yes.
Okay.
So what happened was we notified them that they did not utilize BAVN, and therefore we'd be recommending that they be found non-responsive. Their response to us was they didn't know they needed to use BAVN. And then they submitted this documentation, which is, as you can see from the transmittal, it's not much. It clearly doesn't meet the outreach requirements.
And it looks like it was something that was thrown together in haste to try and save the ship?
Possibly.
Okay. Commissioner Penning?
You know, this reminds me of the situation we had, I think it was maybe a week ago, with the women-owned demolition firm who also didn't meet our requirements, and, we ended up adding her back to the list. It's a situation where I feel like sometimes, because of the way our program is set up, that we miss the forest for the trees, where, what they're giving us is a proposal that actually is very much along the lines of what we're looking for, and we're throwing it out. They're also an LBE, and their bid is lower. We're throwing it out and recommending to award it to a company that didn't meet our goals. They met the outreach requirement, but they come to us with a 0, a 4.4. So it's just one of these, situations where I feel frustrated that, our emphasis is so much on documentation and outreach rather than the actual substance of what we're, whether than our ability is to sort of look at what are we trying to accomplish here, and is that being accomplished. So that was just kind of a statement, not really a question. I apologize. What kind of discretion do we have in this one, Ted?
Well, it's different than the one we had last time, where the bidder used our bobbin system. They just failed to use bobbin for that last piece of the summary sheet. This firm failed to use bobbin at all. And the department goes to great lengths to work with the contracting community in the world of subcontractors to get them registered on bobbin, specifically so they can get outreach on these bids. And this company did not use that system. The discretion the board has is to waive what we usually refer to as informalities, minor defects, if the board finds that it did not give them a competitive advantage. So that's the discretion the board has. I don't know enough about the particular bid here to really have any sense of, did they get a competitive advantage by completely ignoring the bobbin system and doing their outreach old school way. It is some effort that contractors go through in learning the bobbin system, training their staff to use the bobbin system, and then actually utilizing it. The city benefits when they do that because they reach out to the largest number of subcontractors. Theoretically, you should get some advantage in using bobbin because you've reached out to more subcontractors who can potentially give you lower bids. In this case, the contractor was able to come in with the low bid without that. The board has discretion to waive informalities if you find it did not give them a competitive advantage. But this is a much more significant problem than what we had a week ago, when they utilized bobbin and then just didn't utilize bobbin to submit that final bit of information, which allows the staff to evaluate their good faith effort.
I see. Well, at the very least, I would hope that, if we end up following the recommendation of the report, that we are able to reach out to Henkels and McCoy and let them know that we hope that they'll continue to submit proposals to us. I think it's obviously on these lighting projects, it's always, as with any project, it's good for us to have as much competition, and especially if they are a firm that clearly has working relationships with companies that reflect the diversity we're looking for in our subcontracting program.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Ms. McGlinchey, are you able to, was the Bureau able, or would the Bureau be able to confirm the 26.29 MBE pledge? How did they get that? Where did they get that from?
That would have been from the listed subcontractors and verifying their certification status.
Okay, but would the Bureau have been able to confirm that that's a real number?
Partially. We wouldn't have necessarily been able to do the analysis in terms of whether they're a subcontractor, supplier, vendor, which could manipulate the numbers a bit. but for the most part, just taking the numbers listed in the bid proposal, that's how we came up with the amount.
And am I understanding correctly that the danger here that may have been communicated by Mr. Jordan is that by not using the bobbin system, and to use the term that the two of you have coined this morning, old school method, that they kind of just pick the way they want to do outreach, and maybe they outreach to people that they already know and kind of miss everybody else?
Yes, it would have completely reduced competition in terms of those wanting to compete for the project. Like I said, when you look at what they submitted through all of this, they're by their own account, they did not outreach to any EBEs, only one DVBE, even, only 5 MBEs, and that was only in electrical. They didn't outreach to them in any of the other work areas. So it wasn't a comprehensive outreach by any means.
But they had some success in the outreach that they did.
Well, and the thing is, what we don't know is whether it was success in outreach or predetermined
Or prior
subs.
relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah, the predetermined subs is what reduces the competition because it's based on old relationships, and that's part of what we've tried to get away from by requiring the use of the BAVN system, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Rivas?
Yeah, some of my questions have been answered already with your discussion, but I guess I see the goal of using bobbin is for us to be able to increase our outreach and result in what Henkel's and McCoy ideally, and usually what I hear when I see 0%, in other situations is this work is so specialized. There isn't an MBE that does this, or there isn't, a certain type of certified business that does this. But then Henkel's was able to find them. But do you know if these MBEs and WBEs are in our bobbin system, or we're not?
We did not
we
look
don't-
to see that.
Okay, because it was already declared non-responsive, right? Okay.
Well, yes, we're going with that recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, so you didn't go to check to see if they were in our system?
No, we did not do that extensive of a review, just in terms of staff resources.
Yes, no, I understand why. But then, I'm just curious if they are in our system. I know you don't know that, but because that way the other primes would be outreaching to them too and could get this result that Henkley did on its own, right? So that's, because that's why we have the BAVN system, right? Is for this result, right?
Yes.
And they do it on their own. But I understand because they're doing it on their own, you're not able to verify how they do it, whether it's competitive or not, right?
Right. I mean, what we do know based on their documentation is they did not do an outreach to MW, OBE, SBE, EBE, DVBEs in each work area.
Okay. I see. Okay, thank you.
What is the risk of precedent that might concern Mr. Jordan or yourself, Ms. McGlinchey, if we asked you in this instance to go back to the sub that they have listed to see if they are in the BAVN system so that they might get picked up on other contract attempts?
I would see that as having nothing to do with the award of this contract.
Right.
We could easily go back and see whether
That's
or
my
not
point.
that
I mean,
the subs are listed.
I'm assuming, let me just put a hypothetical in front of the question. Assuming that we go with the Bureau's recommendation on this item, but to Commissioner Rapenning's point and to Commissioner Rivas' point, we would like to see our contractors hit the sweet spot of getting these kinds of subcontracting numbers by using the BAVN system, so we wouldn't have this problem. And one way to maybe do that in the future would be to reach out to whoever the sub was that got Henkel their 20% to make sure that they are in the Bavin system, to Commissioner Rivas's point, so that the next time somebody else outreaches to them, they get picked up. Now, maybe they already are, but that seems to me that it would be worth the time to do, particularly in these areas where we are in a specialized area and we would like to see more increase in our numbers. That's okay with you, Mr. Jordan?
Yes, I think anytime we, through a bid process or otherwise, happen to identify subcontractors or others who aren't in Boven, I think it's always in the city's interest to invite more and more potential subcontractors to join our Boven system.
That's what we do already when we do various trainings and the Small Business Academy and all kinds of things that's our goal eventually, is to get more people into the system, more entities into the system. This is just a little bit more of a specialized take at that. Okay. Commissioner Davis.
I look at this and certainly understand the rules and the regulations with regard to Bavin. The fact that they have achieved, as Commissioner Rivas said, quite a bit of diversity here, which is really pretty much reflective of what our core values are. And unfortunately, we don't know, in fact, if some of these MBEs, WBEs, and SBEs, and EBEs that they have confirmed are already in Bavin, because they potentially could already be. We just don't know. And so as we look at this, certainly we want to support what our system is. And I don't know to what degree people are disadvantaged for our consideration of Hinkle in this effort because they have not used Bavin. And certainly that's what we require of everyone. But it certainly is interesting what they have achieved. And in fact, if these people happen to be on Bavin, it becomes even more interesting. And we just don't know. We just don't have the information we really need to have to make a decision here. If we decided that this kind of reflects our core value, it looks to me, and I hate to try to play to be a behavioral scientist here, that Hinkle may have had some technical problems, or they could be, moving to hire people they know on one hand, but on the other hand, they could also be having some difficulties in using the system effectively. Possibly, and we don't know the answer to that either. So all I can say about this case is it's extremely interesting, and that the selections that they have made, if we had all of the information, I would like to know if some of these folk are already in Bavin. And on a positive note, it really is really interesting that they have been able to achieve what they have been able to achieve. And I certainly hope that others will be able to do what they have done here. Only comments I have at this point.
Commissioner Cinto?
Thank you. Linda, I would encourage Hinkles as the president, as you said, the CEO, the principal was there at the bidders conference, to have them come back into this second, the use of Bavin as they were a decade ago, have them compete. They were able to do some things. They work within the system. It's not like they didn't know about the system. So I'm confident that they'll be able to put together what they did in a formalized way and be competitive with bids and add to our pool. So I'm fine with the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cinto. I am too. I think it's unfortunate that in this instance, because they didn't use Bavin, I just think the risk, as described by Mr. Jordan and Ms. McGlinchey, is unlikely, but it's too great to waive the use of Bavin completely, and to waive the outreach. But I do think it's well worth reaching out to Hinkles to make sure that, because of the success they have achieved, two things: reach out to Hinkles to make sure they know going forward. It's been a decade since they've worked with us. Things have changed. Technology exists. New technology exists. Here's the system. Next time you won't fall second place. You'll if you're the low bid, you'll be first place. as you should be, and then identify that subcontractor, and if they're in the system, great, but if they're not, let's put them in the system so that others can pick them up too. And it may not just be based on a prior relationship, because the prior relationship issue, which Bavin has sought to eliminate, does hurt competition, and it hurts opportunity. And that's my concern with just waiving the use of the Bavin system completely, even though this one may have ended up upside down. The process is the process.
But Mr. President, if they happen to be in the Bavin system, it certainly says something else important to us as well. You know, if in fact we don't know the answer to that question, but if we discover after her findings, because she's agreed to go back and do that, it has nothing to do with what we're doing today. But I just wanted to underscore, in fact, if those findings come back that they are in the Bavin system, then it says a lot to us moving forward.
Well, what could it say?
Well, it could say that what they have been able to achieve means that we can expect greater performance, hopefully, in the future from other future people presenting themselves, if they happen to be in the system. And again, I don't know the answer to it. I'm just wanting to make the point, as you've argued, that if they're not in the system and the unfortunate situation that would bring, I just wanted to also present, if they happen to be in the system, the fortunate potential that also would bring.
Yeah. If they're in the system, again, we're in the world of hypotheticals and who knows. But if they're in the system and they were solicited, and they didn't bid on Elknor, but they did bid on Hinkles, that might tell us something. They'd prefer to work with Hinkles.
It might be worth contacting them to find out why they didn't bid on Elecnor.
Exactly. And that might give us some information going forward. That could be based on a prior relationship, too, and familiarity with one entity over another. So interesting. Yes, as the discussion continues, Commissioner Penning.
I think that this relates really to the discussion we've been having through the Ad Hoc Business Advisory Committee about kind of really what are we trying to achieve and what is the best way to achieve that. And I think, you know, that you know, there's definitely a very important place for the Bavin system in the sense of letting as many people know about opportunity and creating a space for, you know, new connections to happen. At the same time, acknowledging that, you know, companies like to work with people that they generally like to work with people that they've worked with before. And I don't think that that's a negative thing. I think that's just people doing business and wanting to, you know, and if they're able to give us the result we're looking for.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
it's not always a negative thing, and sometimes it could say one company's a great company and another company's a bad company or not so great company. Hey, look out if you're going to contract with that one. But we don't know. So look, one of the things that these cases do that I appreciate about this body is that we're a deliberative body. We debate these things, and in doing so, we flesh out areas where improvements can be made, and I think we found one. As reluctantly as we are, I really would. I mean, I'm going to make a motion that we follow the Bureau's recommendation because Bavin wasn't used at all here. But the message, please send the message to Hinkles that we are very interested in working with them. Please bid. Thank you for coming back after 10 years. We're happy to train you on our system, and we are encouraged and inspired by your proposed inclusion numbers such that we sure would like for others in the marketplace that one of them ended up getting a contract today would be able to find those results. Commissioner Rivas.
I agree that we shouldn't waive this in this instance, but it does bring a lot, lots of things that we can learn from this. I think including for the Bureau, our anticipated participation levels that we advertised are pretty low, and we had a prime that, went above and beyond them, so maybe looking, if they are in Bobbin, I know it's hard to look at what's out there, but these are pretty, 2% MBE, and someone accomplished 26%, right? So kind of looking to see if in the future, are these the right participation levels? Are they too low? And just kind of learning from this bid, I think I would encourage that.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. The motion's on the floor. Commissioner Jacinto has seconded it. Anybody want to, any opposition? Which is fine, obviously, as always.
I just have a question
Yes,
before we
Commissioner
conclude. In fact, with regard to the subcontractors, we can verify, in fact, if they are in the BAVN system, but if a prime contractor had used BAVN, could he or she have used other subcontractors who were not in the BAVN system?
They could outreach to other subcontractors that are not in the BAVN. However, that's considered like above and beyond what's required, and it does not count towards their BAVN business inclusion outreach.
So they could have reached out to other EBEs and MBEs and WBEs outside of BAVN had they gone through the BAVN process?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And they could do that for a couple of things. One, they could increase their inclusion numbers, or two, they could get better subcontracting proposals.
Correct.
Better numbers to lower their bid, maybe, if they're willing to put in the effort. Okay. So any objection to the motion? All right. Without objection, but with reluctance or hesitation and disappointment, we will adopt agenda item number 9. Any issue, sending it forthwith? The same goes on the forthwith here. Thank you both. And thank you for the debate. Agenda item number 11. Let me see. Do we have anybody on number 10, sole source contract, X200 auto DD-PCR system? Anybody here on number 10?
Mr. President, I believe Ms. Loanise Lee is in the audience
great.
today that will present item number 10.
Okay, let me call number 10. Recommending that the purchasing agent to the award of a sole source contract to Biorad Laboratories for the purchase of one QX200 Auto DG DD-PCR system that I'm sure we'll find out what that is, with the approximate cost of $144,922.44, including taxes, shipping, and handling, to be procured by the General Services Department. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Ianise Lee. Yes, this piece of equipment is to upgrade a qPCR instrument that we are currently using. The new equipment is a different platform in that it can detect multiple target organisms at the same time. The current unit can't. The reason we want to detect these organisms are for the MS4 and NPDS permits for fecal indicator bacteria for public health reasons. The new upgraded unit is faster. It doesn't require another piece of equipment, a spectrophotometer, which is about a $14,000 unit. The new one doesn't require this. It's faster. It does multiple targets. We would like a sole source for Biorad Laboratories because the first unit, the current unit was also manufactured by Biorad Laboratories. and the training and transition to the new unit would be smoother. Also, our agency, SQUIRP, also uses, it's a joint powers agency. It also uses the upgraded unit that we would like to purchase. Therefore, if we ran into any problems, they would also provide training for us. It also allows us to participate in special studies. The permits require that we participate in special studies. This unit would allow us, SQUIRP is using this, Orange County Sand is also using this. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Repenning?
So this is for the lab that we use at sanitation to do monitoring on our watershed, correct?
Right, on Santa Monica Bay, LA Harbor, Los Angeles River.
And so part of it is, it's something that we have to do to be in compliance with state water board mandates.
Yes. Right now, to comply with that, we're using a chromogenic substrate. This one allows, the chromogenic substrate is a 24-hour test. We would notify the health department the next day. This instrumentation is a 2 to 4 hour test. We get to notify the health department same day.
So we'll be improving our efficiency with the new system. We'll be able to see problems sooner and address them more quickly. And the reason for the sole source is that this is essentially an upgrade on the existing system that we already have in place. Staff is already trained on using it. It makes sense for us to continue using that system rather than start over completely new with something else.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. I would also add that, the margin for error here is risky. We do not want harmful bacteria in these water bodies. We have to conduct significant testing every year, and the more accurate analyses that this product provides prevents, as the motion indicates, prevents us having to pay hefty fines and permit violations, as well as ensures the safety of the public. Mr. Jordan, a question that we usually have for you in these sole source requests. Is the sole source justification that's provided here satisfactory to the city attorney?
Yes, it is. I see no issue with that.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on agenda item number 10? Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion on number 10? Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 10. Any issues sending number 10 forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 11.
Mr. President, on item number 11, there's been a request to continue the item for 1 week until next Wednesday, April 19th, if it's approved by your commission.
It's fine with me. Any issues continuing number 11 to next week, a week from today, Wednesday, April 19th? Then number 11 will be continued until Wednesday, April 19th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remaining item, oral report, quarterly status report of the Clean Streets Initiative from the Bureau of Sanitation. Mr. Garcia, you're not Mr. Gaines, you're Mr. Garcia.
How are you today?
Good, Pepe, how are you?
Good morning, President James, commissioners, bureau heads. I'll try to keep it short and sweet since I'm the last item. So,
well, the LA Times has been writing about you lately, so in a good way, so we know where you're coming from. Go ahead.
So for January to March of 2017, we currently have 4 service teams picking up illegal dumping and addressing the cleanup of homeless encampments throughout the city. Most of the requests that we get in are through My 311, My LA 311. About 10% come from council offices, mayor requests, and other sources. So for this quarter, the CSLA, anything that was referred to the Clean Streets LA program, so we were able to close 3,875 service requests in a 3-month period. Um, 1,470 were homeless encampments, and 2,400 were illegal dumping. So this 3,800 service requests basically added up to 4,838 tons of material removed from the streets during this 3-month period. Okay, during the end of February, we implemented our 4th HOPE team. So all 4 HOPE teams are out there doing enforcement of the 5611 protocols. Clean Streets LA is also in the final phase of deploying the 2nd round of 1,250 ALBs, the automated litter bins, and they're being strategically placed based on the indexing and what it indicated the high litter areas of the city were. The indexing itself, it's finishing up the first quarter of 2017, and so we'll be scheduling the CD reviews within the next month or so. The indexing is also, in this quarter, actually not only gone out there and demonstrated where these sites were, but also proactively we're generating service requests and going out there and collecting these items. Everything from illegal dumping to bulk, illegally discarded bulky items, and with our partners with OCB, handling some of the weed abatement and light litter. Anyways, CSLA just continues to provide the services to the residents, and we're out there, we're hard at work. Deputy Mayor Romero went out there yesterday, as a matter of fact, and went to go see an actual encampment. She had only planned to stay an hour or so. I think she went from 9 o'clock to 1:30, 2 o'clock, just because she wanted to see more. So it's a lot to it and a lot involved. And thank you, Commissioner James, for your participation in signing off, and Commissioner Repenning for your direction with the indexing and the grids and focusing in on the chronic locations. Other than that, that's about it.
Commissioner Repenning.
I really want to appreciate all the hard work going into these efforts, and I think that we've been making a lot of progress on clean streets. I think people see it, they feel it. We've also been caught up in the challenges of the homeless crisis in our city, and trying to balance the proactive work we're doing through Clean Streets with the very much reactive work in terms of the number of requests for encampment cleanups that we get. And I know that, we've recently been around the building on some funding challenges we've had. Essentially, the services are very much in demand, especially on the homeless side. And I wonder if you want to address, what we've been experiencing lately with realizing that our funding is not enough to keep up with the demand that exists.
So just to kind of hopefully summarize it, in the 3 years that I've been kind of in charge of this thing, so we've become reliable and dependable. People have noticed that when they call, we're responsive. So we're getting a lot more requests, maybe for the same item, but they know that we will be there, within a timely manner. We usually plan our days to be like a 10-hour day, because some of them, because we're responsive, some of the homeless encampments actually adhere to the postings and move and give us the room to clean up and sanitize. So with our, we never try to leave anything undone. So if we plan a 10-hour day and we get actually a 6-hour day or an 8-hour day, sometimes we get a 10-hour day, but again, everything that we post, we try to manage that day. So in light of budget crisis and those kind of things, we've still trying to maintain the level of service that we're doing. We're just being very mindful that we don't extend it too far so that we can kind of work within our means. And hopefully, the need is there and the demand is there based on, I've seen an increase in the volume of calls that are coming in, service requests, and council offices being requested to, pay attention to this particular site and this particular site. And to be honest with you, one of the it's kind of curious, but when you look at the actual tickets of the actual chronic locations of homeless encampments, it's like, hey, thank you for cleaning it up, but they're back. It's kind of that kind of nature. It's like they know to report and they know to come back. So it's not going away, but the more resources we have, we can try to keep the volume of material down to so it's not something that's an eyesore in the community. And I think I heard it at one of the community meetings that I went to, is that, they're kind of part of the community, and we need to make them good neighbors in a sense to maintain. With 5611, the Hope teams kind of pick it up and push it back, clean it up, push it back, don't build a big, structure. But anyway, that's kind of like our goal, is to hit it more frequently so these structures don't become what is referred to as a negative eyesore for homeless encampments in LA,
I guess my feeling about it is that I think it's really important to increase awareness of the services that sanitation is providing in relation to homelessness, because I think you guys are getting a lot of requests, and I think that there's not a global understanding of how much demand there is, what you guys are doing. I have concerns about our workers out there not necessarily being, having been trained in working with a population that, has psychological issues sometimes, or maybe facing drug addiction at times. But I think that, as you indicated, you guys always try to get to yes, and you try to be, try to be problem solvers, and I appreciate that. So I think it's just a moment to really make sure that people know, so that it's funded appropriately, and so that there's appropriate training, and just that you're set up to do what people are asking you to do.
And I agree wholeheartedly, and we've actually been looking into that, because they do deal, especially in the OHS Skid Row, the folks there that, LAPD has certain training to deal with, or kind of to be defensive in the field. I think that it applies to any worker that's out there wearing a vest and a city seal, because, it could be a negative, it could be a positive. Sometimes we're greeted with open arms, oh, thank you, here's all the trash. And sometimes it's like, get the heck out of here. So, but that training, I agree, and I'll look into providing that for all the workers that were out there.
I know that Enrique made a presentation to the Police Commission last week, which met here in this room specifically on homelessness, which I think is a good step. And, I think with the passage of Measure H, Measure HHH, hopefully we'll see more housing, more supportive housing being built, and more services being provided, so that we can really see some progress in terms of the number of people out on the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Commissioner Davis.
I wanted to say to you that I really have the greatest appreciation for the work that we are doing on Clean Streets Los Angeles, and I think it is perhaps one of the most important services that Public Works provides. It helps us to better manage effectively the infrastructure of our city, specifically as it relates to the problem of homelessness, something that we had not prepared for. But when we think about the legal right that people have in terms of homelessness in this society, that there is a bit of pride that even they can have as a result of the routine cleaning that we're able to go out and to do, and to accommodate them and those of us in the community as well, to know that every aspect of our infrastructure in our community is being managed effectively and therefore being cleaned appropriately. And that means the service that you provide in clean services is doing that. I really do believe that this is perhaps one of the mayor's most important programs. It's easy to do the big stuff that makes people feel good. It's more difficult to do the detailed stuff that absolutely has to be done, and you're doing it, and I can't imagine any of our leaders here in City Hall not supporting it financially, because it makes their districts in council look good, and it makes those who are active with our neighborhood associations look good when their neighborhoods that we all live in is the kind of neighborhood of which we can all feel proud. And so we are all called to respect the right of a person who happens to be homeless. And a part of that respect, I think, is reflected in the service that we provide through Clean Streets Los Angeles. So again, I want to personally thank you, and I'm a big advocate and be willing to talk to anybody in City Hall about how significant what you do is, and they should already know if they're driving around. So again, thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you so much.
Pepe, real quick, let me just close by saying that, I try to make it a priority. He referenced the permit approvals that the position of this job requires. I see them every day, and I see the volume increasing. And it's my small part is to prioritize them when I see them so that our crews can do the work that they need to do, and to make an independent and fair evaluation of what they are, the work they're doing in the communities, and just let your teams know that we have a sense of understanding of how difficult and challenging the work is as well. We appreciate the success. The communities appreciate the success that we've had. As I mentioned before you started your oral report, the Los Angeles Times even appreciated this success based on the data and the metrics that they did their own analysis of. And that all comes with commitment and hard work from your teams. So we let them know we appreciate that. With that, thank you, everyone. The oral report will be received. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned. By the way, I will mention, Friday we are dark because in observance of Good Friday, correct? So no meeting here Friday in observance of Good Friday. We'll be in City Hall, but the Board of Public Works will not be meeting. So thank you, and have a nice weekend, everyone. We are adjourned.